Hi, Jim Murphy for Elite Style Massage. Hope you're well. So today I'm going to help you out with your bodies, as I'm always trying to do. Wrist and forearm today is what I'm going to give you some tips and some help on. Now, we do so much with our wrists and our forearms. I go to some big publishing companies in central London and a few other offices, and people spend so many hours typing around keyboards and really using their arms, a lot of their wrists. They get pains in their hands and stuff like that. I do repetitive strain injury workshops, RSI workshops with some companies sometimes, where I just do 20-minute sessions with people with literally wrists, forearms, hands, just to free everything up. Now, I don't want to show my age now because I don't remember this, but probably 35, maybe 40 years ago, when office workers had big heavy typewriters with big heavy keys that put the metal bar with the ink onto the paper. I don't remember this, I'm too young for that. They were really using the flexors on the underside of the arm here, where they was doing these movements chung, 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 all the time using these. It's completely turned around now. Now people don't get problems with the flexors, it's the extensors on the back of the arm. So let's look at the arm. You've got 2 muscles in the bicep, hence bi. You've got 3 muscles in the tricep, hence tri. There's 7 muscles in your forearm for extension, flexion, pronation, supination, and a few things in between. So there's lots going on in the wrist and forearm, and they do get massively overused. Now, people automatically think that the bigger movements are what are going to cause more problems for the arms or for the body in itself. Actually isn't. It's a lot of the smaller intrinsic movements we do for many, many hours. So people sometimes spend 8 or 10 hours a day typing around keyboards and stuff like that. So like I said, the flexors, which flex the arm down like that, flex the hand rather, down like that, that's these muscles here. The extensors are on the back of the arm. Now, most people I come across that are either office workers or tech fiends, where they're on their phones too much. My barber, where he's cutting hair all day using these small muscles all the time. These muscles here on the back of the arm here are really super tight. I've treated people before, my barber included, when I first treated him. And when I first treated his forearms, they were like granite. They were rock hard. By the end of the session, they were nice and pliable, lengthened things out, gave him a good bit of relief. Probably lasts about 3-4 weeks for him, and then he sort of books in again, because by then it's stiffening up. But he's using his arms loads with his work. Now, you guys, if you're watching this, are probably doing the same if you're an office worker, or again, modern living. Unfortunately, our tech is the worst thing for us. So most people are a bit of a fiend on their phones and texting and doing far too much. And again, it's these smaller intrinsic movements. So I'm going to give you a little bit of advice today and a little tip on something you can do just to free up your forearms. Now, I always try and advise people, go and get treatment. I go into companies. Wellbeing has been at the forefront of a lot of companies' minds for the last 10 years plus that I've been going there. So they've been getting me in, doing some treatment for the stuff. If you haven't had decent soft tissue therapy, go and find someone that's really good. You can't beat a recommendation. Try and find someone that's had good massage, or know someone. And go and get some treatment on your arms and your wrist and your forearms. It really will serve you well. So I'm going to give you a tip today of something you can do yourself. Now, I'm not normally a massive fan of self-massage. There's textbooks that we study from, and there's always chapters in some of our textbooks to do with self-massage. Now, I'm not a massive fan of self-massage. That's my job, to massage people. But it can be useful in some areas. You can't reach your back, obviously. There's areas you couldn't massage, but you can do areas like the forearm, the calf, the shin, like the tib anterior on the front of the shin. There's certain things that you could do. The only thing is that you won't do it the way that a massage therapist will do it. Not saying the pain, but the discomfort that's needed to get in deep enough to do effective treatment. Plus, the angle at which you're working at might not be effective to get a good bit of pressure in there to do the release that's needed. But forearms can be useful to do a little bit of self-massage for. I do it sometimes on myself. Although I get regular massage, I'm using my arms and my hands a lot with my treatments that I'm doing with my soft tissue and remedial work with clients. So I do sometimes because it does feel good. It does make a difference. So what we're going to do, there's a technique in massage called soft tissue release. Now, you've got active STR, soft tissue release, and passive STR. Active is if you're doing it. Passive is if I'm doing it. So with certain techniques for massage, it can be really useful. So what we're going to do, if you do this movement with your arm like that, if you do this movement, now that is called extending the hand, so extension. When you do extension, it shortens these muscles here. So that shortens them and that lengthens them, and vice versa with your muscles here, your flexors. That shortens the flexors, that lengthens the flexors. So we're going to do a clever technique called soft tissue release. Now, particularly for the muscles on the top of the arm. So you've got there's a muscle here called brachioradialis, which is the main one that I tend to see that people suffer with. I want you to shorten that wrist like that, or that hand. So shorten the muscle like that by putting your wrist up. Get your thumb and push in and down and towards the joint that way, so away from this joint. So you're going to push in and down, and you'll feel that you're gripping the muscle, and then stretch that wrist down, and then do it again. So wrist up for me, or hand up, push in and down and stretch, and you'll really feel what this is doing to this muscle. And do it all up and down the length of the muscle, okay? And you'll feel yourself gripping the muscle and stretching it. You can do the same on the flexors. The flexors is always a good one. So what you do is get your wrist like that, so your hand is in a flex position. Get your thumb, push in and down towards the joint that way. So you're pushing away from this joint that you're moving. Okay, so push in and down and in and down. And again, when you're doing it, on the stretch down, straighten that hand up like that. And you'll get a real good feel of what you're doing to the muscle there. You're basically hanging on to the bit that you're not stretching. So that bit that is stretching, you're hanging on to the rest of it. So you're stretching the fibers of these muscles here in the forearm, and it can really give you a useful bit of release. Now, if you've got hairy arms like me, or if your skin's a little bit sensitive, use a bit of lotion, not too much. I don't want you to be slipping over the muscle too much, just enough so that you can just get a bit of traction, a bit of grip to the muscle. Okay, so it's not too harsh though. Use a bit of lotion, and again, lock in, stretch out, lock in, stretch out, and again, do the same on the extensors there, and you'll find that will really give you a good bit of relief from having these super tight forearms and wrists and stuff like that. So there's little tips and tricks that I'm going to give you guys that can really help you and help your bodies recover. Because we spend so many hours doing the same sorts of things, you know, you do need to give your body some respite. I've said in other videos, the body is very good at healing and recovering and self-recovery, but sometimes it needs a bit of external help, and that's where treatments like this and tips like this come in very, very useful. So hopefully you found that useful. If you can like and subscribe to my channel, you'll see when new content gets added. And thanks for tuning in. Jim Murphy for Elite Style Massage. See you next time.